Hi there, guys. It's Celine. It's Tuesday. Yes, it is once again Tuesday, the 9th of November. Sun's shining, really pretty out there. Sun's also rather low over the houses on that side of my life, on the south side. Definitely winter is approaching fast. And I've got a couple of bushes, as some of you guys who've been around here on my channel a bit more, you will have seen that I've got a couple of rather bigger bushes and bits of trees and things in there. So the sun is actually in there, hiding. But still got lots of light in my room and my door open, even because it's not that cold. I'll try to sit in such a way that you can actually see me, more or less. Not that it matters that much. I want to do an update, okay, on everything, which means the level of well-being as the coming out of the Tumo practice and all the things around it, okay? But I want to also keep this fairly short because I'm pretty much pooped and I don't want to take up too much of your time unless I really have, all this really important stuff. Then again, who knows how this is going to go. I've been to Amsterdam, okay? I've actually been to the Holocaust names monument. I've actually seen this whole row of names of people that I'm related to on the monument, sitting among thousands of others. And actually, it's been a really positive experience. That part of it was completely fine. I was impressed and pleased, most of all, that I saw other people sort of intently staring at the names on the bricks, looking for their relatives' names. The same as I had been doing 5 minutes before that, So I was having this really sense of nearly abstract kind of connection to random people who are doing the same thing I was doing, just now. And some people had others with them, taking photographs and doing it together with them, with relatives or brothers and sisters or whatever else. Other people were alone, and it was it was positive. It's a positive experience. So that was okay. The other part of the experience being in Amsterdam, where it was also a new moon that night for us. The new moon was happening in the middle of the night, or at the end of the evening rather. That was a total mess. So I didn't sleep nearly at all during the night of Thursday to Friday. I did afterwards. I recuperate from that type of thing, and it happens to everybody, when there's just a night where you just don't seem to be able to turn yourself off. To me, that doesn't happen very often. When it does, I tend to take a couple of days to recuperate from that, even because I just hate when that happens. So in Amsterdam, I wasn't actually enjoying myself as much as I thought I would, or I was basically having this really tunnel mind where I just needed to get myself to the end of the street and then to the end of the next street to to keep it all going until we go back home. And by the time it was Friday evening, I went to bed really early and slept like a log, as I'm supposed to. So it sorted itself out in terms of metabolism physically and so on just fine. It just takes a bit of patience. We did a couple of useful bits of shopping, some entertaining bits of shopping. I also felt during the whole of the expedition that I was only partly doing things that I was supposed to be doing or things that I was wanting somehow. So like I was having a sort of a latent sense of I'm supposed to be doing other things, and what I'm doing here is not useless, but it doesn't connect inside me as well as it should, or something like that. That was kind of uncomfortable. So afterwards, after I gotten back home and done the other things during the weekend that we planned on doing, by now husband has gone off to work yesterday and today. There was a couple of important things that he had to see to for clients as well, so that was sort of taking up a lot of his attention. I have needed quite some time to basically just sit on the internet and surf around doing witchy stuff or Tibet related research and things like that, which isn't really personal or really like it's not really the thing I should be doing either, but I just didn't have it took me a while to get back on my sense of, okay, so where am I with this whole process? Because, and this is where it links into my Tumo experiences tale that I've been telling you about. A couple of weeks ago, I had this, actually it is by now 2 weeks exactly ago, I had, because of the Tumo energy in my system and in my life that I've accessed and cultivated through the practice, I have sort of gained access to a part of myself that was hidden for a very long time. Actually, for half a century, if you want to know. Okay? So, this whole past 2 weeks has been really intense. A lot of it is actual sort of a new type of processing that's happening in my mind. It's like the gravity center, if you like, of my consciousness has actually shifted towards what the middle looks like if this hidden child, inner child part of me is actually given a voice. Over the past couple of months, for quite a while, regularly, I have been sort of paying attention to inner child work. If possible, I have been, I've done for years, I have paid attention to my dreams, I have journaled, I have tried to, get in touch and stay in touch with inner child levels for myself, revisiting old memories, lots of things I've done. Recently, I've been doing quite a bit of left-hand drawing, which is something that works really well for me to express this other side of me. It makes me happy. It actually makes me feel a whole lot more integrated and aligned inside. It's utterly amazing, the effect of that, but you have to be ready for that. I suppose you'd have to call it breaching of the walls that were there placed in between these sensible areas of me, the areas of life, areas of consciousness inside me that are really part of my consciousness. Part of me was just completely frozen over and alienated and ostracized and inaccessible. And that is what I have been undoing with Tumo, introducing Tumo energy, transformed Shakti energy into my system, into my belly and my heart area has brought me this result in the end. Okay, so that's where more or less how this has come about. Now, recently, over the weekend and yesterday and so on, I have had quite a bit of a hard time figuring out how to not lose these parts of me again. I guess that was one thing I was worried about. It tends to be whenever I don't go into it really, it tends to sort of just basically withdraw from my life. I am quite capable of having cognitive, days where everything just works. The the machine is operating in my life. My life is, I may even be able to write and paint and be active, you know, but it's not what I'm looking for. In order to have this sense of integration, I have to actively go back in and listen to what they are saying in there. And if I do it, I get immediate participation of this part of consciousness in my life. And one way that this was really striking this morning, I did a couple of motions towards this inner child self again, I suppose, that I had to sort of take myself away from the internet, mental, brain, intellectual activities and into myself again. And one result was that I picked up a little bag that I've got over there that I forgot to go and get, but here it is, of lavender flowers, dried lavender flowers. And I picked it up and I smelled it and I looked at it, and I have this incredibly strong memory of, I suppose, seeing dried lavender for the first time as a kid. And I've no idea when and where this happened or why, but I loved it. I thought it was magical. And that's how you think when you're 6 years old, right? You just think it's all this type of stuff. It's just, it's just a marvel and a miracle. And so it is. So that was quite striking. There was a really small, very clear sort of opening up of the experience. All of a sudden, the whole magical nature of lavender sort of was revealed. The joy of lavender was revealed to me again. And I remembered it because it was something I had experienced before. So amazing, right? So that is the kind of thing I'm looking for. I want to feel like that. I don't want to be a brain walking around on legs. I want to actually see where that gets me, what happens when I'm, in that kind of a feeling experience in life. The felt experience, yes. I believe it's Terence McKenna who talks about that kind of thing as well. So, as far as that goes, so that's still very active. I can actually access this myself. How that works is that I don't even know where I start. I just suppose that it starts often with painful memories or a sense of isolation that I had when I was really small. And thinking back to that, it often starts if I start paying respect to those memories, to that part of me, that will help. After a while, what I did, and I should show you this as well, I did a very simple, teeny tiny little left hand exercise. I don't know if you will be able to make this out. I asked, there's waves here. See, can you see that? That's basically all I'm supposed to be showing you at this point. There's 2 layers of waves. I asked my left hand, so that is my inner child hand, okay, to draw the wavelength, the frequency of its own awareness and of my grown-up awareness together. The way they look, what is the difference? What do you perceive as the difference between the grown-up frequency and the child frequency? And what came out was what I showed you, or tried to show you just now, is one wavelength going like this, with smaller, little sinuses, different sinuses, bigger and deeper ones, going down to a baseline most of the time, and sometimes not. And every piece of a sinus is small. You have small bits in the sinuses, okay? They're tight together, but not really super squunched together. It's just that it's a symbol, okay? compared to that, what my grown-up kind of a wavelength does is it goes in large humps like that. And it tries to sort of, what struck me was that it tries to stay up there as long as possible. And up there is a mode that is detached from the world. It goes to abstract thinking, intellectual thinking, that kind of thing. So astrology, for example, tends to live up here. And so my grown-up mode is to stay up here as long as possible and to only occasionally go to the floor of actual felt experience. There you have it again. So I asked my left hand to just do the little doodle for the 2 lines of frequency for the both of us, and it was really informative. I thought it was excellent to just get to see this is actually what happens. It's simple truth, you know. And after that, I had my coffee and I went out and I went shopping, and I could just tell again, which is not a new thing for me because I've seen this over the past weeks and before that also occasionally here and there when I had a chance to be like this, that the child self experiences life very directly. It's not necessarily super physical, although it can be, but it's short term. Everything that I'm seeing around me, I am really responding to the fact that the book is read. You know, every little tiny bit of experience is important and has value, and I don't judge anything. I enjoy lots of things, which is like, oh, you know, so super awesome. Some things are a bit scarier. So this figure of the statue that I printed out, that I pasted on top of my journal here, I would tend to think now is it's a bit, ooh, you know, what is that about? And so on and so forth. But it just depends on how you look at things. I have a choice. I can decide, okay, it's just this statue, and we actually seen the thing, and it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't bite you or anything. And you can wonder why it is that you think this is, you know, frightening in some way. So, just a sketch, okay, of the different parts of my, of how this is going at the moment. I've been having tons of Tumo energy happening all over the place, and so I have the energy available to help me process the things, to help me make sense of the things, to be a part of it all, and to continue on with what it is that I want to do with these things. One other thing that I realized, which was like this huge deal, and I just have to share with you guys at the moment, is that I was blaming myself, okay, for the level of suppression of this inner child thing, where what I realized 2 weeks ago that I was referring to just now is the immense sense of pain and abandonment that I had when I was a toddler, which is a type of memory that we tend to forget. We tend to just, even if you're not a super suppressed person, you will tend to forget all those memories, you know, from before you were 5 or something. You will tend to, it will just not stick around that much. Maybe because of the rational mindset and the tendency of all of us to be at the top of the, you know, globe right there, on our own personal North Pole. What I realized after, I don't even know how I got into that train of thought, but at some point I just realized all of a sudden my mother, that I had such a hard time connecting to when I was a kid, when I was an infant, okay, from the time when we moved from Somalia, where we stayed for 1 year, to Geneva, Switzerland, where we stayed for a couple of years, you know, in that period of time, my mother was on antidepressants. Do I have to say any more? So I was doing the research as to the effects of antidepressants on behavior, on sleep patterns and all that kind of stuff. and I've just dipped my toe in basically, because there's a ton of stuff, and I have no way of getting at the information as to what meds my mother actually took, what those were, what the effects were, and so on in those days. It was the late 60s in Europe. And I only remember what she told me, which was a story about a medication that they gave to her a lot later. By that time, I think I was 7 years old or so, and she had been confined, not really, into a mental institution for a couple of months at least. She had been told basically to stay there until she realized that she wasn't actually bound to, she wasn't confined really. She could leave if she wanted to, and then she left soon after that. So in that time, before she actually left that institution, they gave her some kind of a horrible preparation, which was actually a liquid that she had to drink, which she has always said that she felt that it impacted her immune system very badly, which is something I haven't read yet about the antidepressants. I don't know what they were doing with her. I have no idea. But she was already this traumatized problem person. You know, she had these huge post-traumatic stress issues in her life. She had dissociation and fragmentation. And not only her, everybody in my family was affected. The concentration camps were just one part of a long story of, you know, piles of problems that people had, and people tried to basically survive and not deal with too many things at the same time. And they had kids, and they reacted badly to each other. And I suppose I had a choice to either blame them, my parents that is, and their parents, for everything that was messed up in my life, or blame myself, because obviously I needed to go through a soul retrieval experience to even get here, you know, to even get here to be able to talk about these things and to actually understand more of how the things affect people over time, and how things affect little kids, and how as a kid. So the fact that I understand now, only today, I understand that I had a hard time relating to my mother and connecting to my mother, whom I needed above everything else in my life, okay, when I was 2 years old, because she was on medication, because she didn't respond naturally, because she didn't respond emotionally, ever. That I understood today. Pew. So crazy, right? So this is what life is like on this side. I am getting more understanding every day. Better late than never. Okay, and if she'd been here, she could have talked to me, told me so much more. At the time, she passed away when I was 28, and I'm 55 now. So there you go. There's nothing I can do to get back at the intel as to what it was that they made her take. It was normal. One thing I did know, I've known for decades, is that she thought of herself as a female in the 60s, that she was deficient, brain deficient, and personally and psychologically deficient, because she was female. You know, she was nuts because she was a woman, that has been a very common standpoint. I think there are still people who think that way. Great, there's more women than men on this planet, and as far as I know, the last time I checked, we're the ones who are nuts. I carry within me the notion that I'm female, so I'm nuts. Not very helpful. This disables one's personal sovereignty. It disables one's sense of, okay, so I can go about this in a certain way and we will be better for it. And we will sort it out and we'll manage. If people question your sanity every step of the way, that's what happened to my mum. So hence the pills also and all the other. But the pills didn't do anything. They just shunted the problem around slightly. And I don't suppose they did anything good for her, ever. So, but I didn't hear her talk about those things, about the way the things were when I was that age. I've only heard her, which is another very common, factor in this type of story, this type of traumatized background story, is that you only get little snippets of information. They never tell you everything. You have to figure it out. You have to string it all together like a long, immense string of beads, yes, where you make sense of how this one gets to that one, and on, like that. Okay, so I'm under half an hour for all this hefty stuff here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I can invent a catchy title for this video here. It's only a witchy check-in, after all. And I'm in slightly less of a mess than I was 2 days ago. So I suppose it was a big pile-up and everything for truth, everything for truth, everything. I will stick the article about the sleep effects of the antidepressants in the description to this video and leave it at that, because unless I find more good stuff. Research is pretty brilliant. It's full of technical terms. Gosh, I hate how they do that, where they tell you that it's about sleep latency when in fact it means that you don't fall asleep so quickly. Yeah. Thank you for being here, my guys. I love you to pieces. And we'll just see where we go from here, right? We'll just keep on trudging. Thank you. See you next time. Bye for now.